I need this so badly today, so this is perfect. So this video is part of my Labyrinths of Las Vegas collection. As many of you who watch my videos know, I just happen to have this side passion for labyrinths. And when I lived here in Vegas, I found that there were actually 12 gorgeous labyrinths in the area. And so I would take people and do labyrinth facilitation, or just go with friends, or just go myself. But as long as I'm back here in Vegas for the moment, I thought I would share them with you. So this is one of my, well, I was gonna say this is one of my favorites, but I love them all, except for maybe one. But you'll understand why when we get there. So this one is located on the outskirts of Boulder City, which is the town that is right by Hoover Dam. So at another point, I'm gonna show you around Boulder City itself, which is another place that is part of Kim's Vegas. When I used to have family and friends come visit, taking them down to Boulder City was always one of the things I had on the list. So let me show you around this place. So this labyrinth is actually located on a church property. So this is St. Andrew's Catholic Church. And before we even get to the labyrinth, they have this very interesting exhibit on the way over to the labyrinth. Now, I'm not Catholic, but I think what I'm about to show you is really unusual. I think it's really cool. So behind me is the walkway to the labyrinth. And there are these very interesting points of interest along the way. I think they're gonna surprise you as much as they surprised me. They call this area the prayer garden. Okay, now remember, this is a Catholic church, right? 13 billion years formation of our universe. 46 billion years formation of an Earth-like planet, third rock from the sun. Remember that sitcom? 39 billion years, algae and bacteria first evident. 7 million years, explosion of life forms. Oxygen in the atmosphere. 30 million years, first reptiles. I think that means dinosaurs. Large coal and swamps. 65 million years, dinosaurs end, mammals appear. 3.5 million years, early humans first appear. In relation to 13 billion years, the church is 5 seconds old. Isn't that progressive for a Catholic church? I just found that absolutely wonderful. Here's the labyrinth. For any of you that would like more information, I have a website. It's my coaching website. It's kimtcoaching.com, and I have more information about labyrinths, and I've worked with them and coaching people. But let me tell you a little bit about labyrinths. There are two kinds of labyrinths. There are classical and medieval. The classical are more primitive, and the medieval that scared me. Well, now you know what time it is. Let me stand in the shade. Okay, so as I was saying, let me give you a little mini intro to labyrinths. So the first thing I always tell people is that a labyrinth is not a maze. A maze is a mental puzzle. It's meant to ask you to problem solve, right? Because in a maze, you can go the wrong way, you can hit a dead end, you can get stuck, you know, you have to find your way in and find your way out. Whereas a labyrinth, the purpose is not a mental puzzle. The purpose is receptivity to the divine. So a labyrinth has a single path to the center, and once you reach the center, it's a single path back out. So there are two types of labyrinths, medieval and classical. The classical labyrinths, they're very similar to what I make. They're very more primitive looking, whereas the medieval ones, you'll often see them in church floors. Like a very famous one is on the floor in the Chartres Museum in Europe. So one of the labyrinths I'm going to show you actually is that type. This is also a medieval, and I'm going to tell you some of the elements. So one of the characteristics of a labyrinth is how many circuits it has. And a circuit means how many paths to the center. Kind of like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? How many paths is it till you get to the center? And the way you count a circuit is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 circuits to the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's 6 of those petals. I thought there was supposed to be 7. I'm a little rusty. But you can stand in each one, and I have to remember what you do in each one. Let's walk and talk a little bit. So the idea of being able to walk a single path and not have to worry about, am I going the wrong way? Am I going to hit a dead end? And having to think about it. When you walk a labyrinth, it's based on sacred geometry and like a nautilus shell. So when you walk the labyrinth, it's almost like you can go on autopilot with the walking part. So in other words, you know how sometimes when you drive in your car and you get to your destination, you think, oh my God, how did I even get here? I wasn't paying attention. It's because you go on a level of autopilot. Well, when you're walking a labyrinth, it's the same thing because you're not having to concentrate on going the right or the wrong way. You just walk it. And because you're allowed to just walk, then you can allow your other senses to come present. Like being open and receptive to divine guidance and inspiration. So when I have people walk the labyrinth, there's like no right or wrong way, and there's many different techniques. So a labyrinth is also based on sacred geometry. The pattern of a labyrinth itself is a pattern you'll see repeated in nature, like in the nautilus, you know, the shell, and in leaves and ferns. And so it's a organic sacred pattern. And I think the combination of being able to walk in autopilot and allowing your consciousness to open up and walking within a pattern of sacred geometry puts you in the theta state. So the theta state has to do with the level of consciousness people go to when they meditate a lot. It's a level of consciousness that makes you super receptive. And that's what's evoked when you walk a labyrinth. And I think that's a big key to why they're so special and why can really have a significant experience internally when you walk one. So I've been having a rough day. You want to hear a little bit about my journey and why walking a labyrinth today is so perfect? You know, I love my life as a nomad. And as much as I love it, and as lovely as every day can be, it's still life. And today is one of those days that is off the charts stressful. I've got a health issue going on in the family. I'm not allowed to talk about it, so can't say much about that right now, out of deference to the person going through it. But that's stressing me out. There was an issue with my credit card. It's time for my credit card to expire. So the credit card company sent me a new card, but I'm not where the card is. I have to receive it and have my mail forwarder send it to me. Well, I don't know why, but they deactivated the card that's in my possession, and they've got me all linked up with the card that's coming in the mail. And they don't understand that I can't get my hands on that card for 7 to 10 business days. Stupidest thing ever. And I'm here in Vegas because as a nomad, once a year, I return here and I do all the medical stuff. I go to the doctor, I go to the dentist, the dogs go to the vet, get their teeth cleaned, get all their shots, get all their heartworm medicine, get all that stuff. And not having my credit card available to pay for all this is creating a lot of stress. Good news is I have a long relationship with all these people, and so they're, you know, call us when you get the card, no problem. But I'm trying to get a card expedited, and they can't seem to get that right, and I'm supposed to have already been sent, and I'm supposed to have a tracking number, and of course I don't, and I need to get to my sick family member. I'm the only one that's not there, and now I am stuck waiting for this damn card before I shouldn't say damn at a church, huh? So now I'm stuck here while everyone else is at the hospital. I'm stuck here waiting for a card. How dumb is that? Anyway, and then there's the dogs. So the dogs went and had their dental appointment, and you know, Shelby has her heart condition, and she's okay. They can put her under, no problem. Anyway, they didn't do so good this time. I mean, everybody's fine. Oh, we're approaching the center. I'm gonna be quiet. I'll tell you part 2 on the way out. Oh, I feel so nice here in the center. There's something cumulative about the energy of everyone who has walked this labyrinth. If any of you meditate, just standing here feels the same as when you drop into that wonderful, calm, yummy space. Just letting all the stress I've been telling you about just drain away. Just leaving it in the labyrinth. Funny but not funny is I just did a bunch of videos about emptying out the RV and doing my annual deep clean and purge, and I thought, why do I have all my Labyrinth books with me? So they are all now in my storage unit, and that's what I need to reference to remind myself about the different petals. I could probably look it up online, but figures as soon as I put them in storage, that's when I need all my books. The dogs didn't do as well this time. Just in that today I would have normally taken them to be groomed, right? I didn't want to do it before because they'd be all ooky from their surgery. And I couldn't take them to be groomed today because they are both so stressed out from being at the vet. So I just gave them the day off. They're in the RV just chilling. And then I'll torture them tomorrow by taking them to the groomer. And it's a little challenging for me because I rented a car, and that's a little bit expensive. And I decided to keep the car an extra day, even though it's going to cost me quite a bit of money. But it seemed like that was the kinder and gentler thing to do as far as the dogs are concerned. So what am I gonna do? I have to think about, you know, where they're at and what's good for them, because they can't talk and they can't tell me. But I can see their stress. So you know what? For all I know, if I would have taken them to grooming, I would have had a bigger stress issue on my hand, and then I'd have to go back to the vet, and it would have cost way more than just renting the car for an extra day. This is how I think about things. So a couple things that have come out of these different things that have gone wrong. One is they called me from the vet that Shelby was actually bleeding from her behind, which sounds pretty extreme. And apparently that is a not common but a known symptom of stress for dogs. And when I had to call the groomers and change the appointment, they said, oh yeah, that can happen. Never heard of such a thing, but since I just learned about it, I thought I would tell you about it too. I figured that's pretty intense if Shelby is so stressed that happened to her. Another thing that came up on my radar, Nomad life related, is I no longer have a car. You know, my first year on the road, my car sat in a garage and I paid insurance on it and everything else, and I thought that's dumb. So I sold it because I was very clear that this is the life for me. And I was also very clear that there is no way I'm towing a vehicle. I can't tell you how many times I go the wrong way. I have to turn around. And every time that happens, I think, thank God I'm not towing anything, because it would just make it even more challenging. So I'm a big fan of not towing. And it does create its challenges. So I sold my car and I no longer have auto insurance. I just have motorhome insurance. And sometimes, you know, that presents an issue, like you saw up in Idlewild, or so, you know, sometimes it's a little challenging, but I often have ways of making friends with neighbors, or, you know, getting a shuttle, or even renting a car, which is what I'm doing this time. Well, turns out, did not know this, but because I no longer have a car, I only have the RV, I only have motorhome insurance. And specifically when I rent a car, I can't have the additional insurance that extends to a rent-a-car because I don't even have the primary auto insurance. So I have to pay the add-on insurance that you can get through the car rental service, and it's expensive. It pretty much doubled the price of the rental. So the car was, I think, $30 a day, and then the insurance is $25. So that really hurts. But I just kind of told myself, well, I don't have car payment. I don't have car insurance. I don't have registration and license. So for all that savings, I guess, to sometimes have to pay a little bit to rent the car, I think I'm still coming out ahead. But something to consider out there, if you don't have a car and you just have your motorhome, you do not have coverage for being in a rental car, or for that matter, if I drive someone else's car, I'm only covered under their insurance. So the insurance goes with them, not with me. They need to have uninsured or underinsured coverage, or even something called permissive insurance, which is where someone has permission to drive your car. Something like that. Didn't know that. Coming up on year 3, and I just learned that one. Well, I don't know about you, but I feel a lot better.